And 1. Oh, make sure we're all muted. Thank you. All right, welcome to the second grade math PD for our summer virtual institute. It's a little bit different than being in the room with us, but we're going to try to bring you into our room through different tech tips and tricks to get student engagement through a math lesson. So once more, welcome. I am Alicia Areola, and I am a second grade teacher at Harding Elementary. And my co-presenter today is
Stephanie Holiday, Thorner Elementary, love second grade, said I needed a challenge, and now I'm going to kindergarten.
But she has been teaching second grade for so long that she's going to share her wealth of knowledge with us, and I'm very thankful that she jumped in to do this with me. Before we begin, we are going to listen to a welcome message from Mr. Lukey. You may have seen this if you've been to ELA, but we're going to hear it one more time. And since we're going to give you some tips and tricks for using Zoom, when you share your screen, your students do not automatically hear what you have on your computer screen. They're only hearing what you're speaking using your microphone. If you want your students to listen to a video within a presentation, when you share your screen, there's a little choice at the bottom that says share computer sound. And that's a really crucial thing to do when you're showing these videos.
Yes, because I did not do that my first one, and I figured it out real quick, so thank you.
And it's perfectly okay if you forget. You just hit the button at the bottom that says share, and you can click it and access the sound. Now, another little hint, when you stream videos through a Zoom, it's using twice as much bandwidth to do your video of you and to do the video of whatever you're showing. So if your students say that the video is kind of stilted, it could be on your end or it could be on their end. So the first trick is to shut down your video during the presentation of the video on your screen. So your students won't see you. They'll just see the shared screen and the video playing. So that's just a little hint to help with bandwidth problems. But let's go ahead and jump into the message from Mr. Lukey. And he always, let's present. There we go. Hello, Mr. Lukey.
Good morning and welcome to Summer Virtual Institute. I appreciate and thank all of you for joining us this week and willing to learn with us as we lean into a new year of learning with our students. This is not the instructional program that we had hoped to accomplish this year in terms of our students starting the year in a virtual format, but I believe that together we will build a strong instructional program to support the students of our district. So I want to speak a little bit about the importance of this week's learning with respect to our instructional program and emphasize a couple of key points for us before we start today. First and foremost, I'd like to emphasize the importance of understanding what the state is requiring of school districts this year, and that there are a set number of instructional minutes that we must adhere to. It is our goal that through the virtual nature of our instructional program over the first quarter, that we can rise above and beyond those minimum minutes, ensuring that our students receive ample in-person to the best of our ability instruction, meaning synchronous learning, where we are zooming in with our students online, supporting them, teaching them, equipping them with the skills to be successful in this virtual format. And then we are also balancing that with what we call asynchronous time, where we are assigning kids to complete assignments through many of our instructional tools and resources, while we as teachers and educators work in small groups with students who simply need more time with intervention. And so you are going to receive a lot of information from our instructional services support team. You are going to receive a lot of tools and resources to support you with the instructional design of our program for this year. Just know that we're in this together. Let's support each other. Let's be there for each other, and let's work together to make the very best and strongest instructional program for our students. So once again, thank you very much. I look forward to learning with you this week, and I look forward to a successful school year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lukey. And really, it is going to be that incorporation of technology that is going to allow our students to engage in the learning and help them reach standards. But to do that, as we teach our content lessons, we're going to have to throw in some tech tricks. And so this is where I was recently in an SEL meeting before with Stephanie, and I found out that I need to teach my students how to manipulate the screen of a Zoom session, because they're going to be in a Zoom with me and they're not going to know how to manipulate the screen so it looks the best for a lesson. So I took this picture through an SEL lesson, and you can see that I have the presentation up, but I also have the presenter up. I have equal space for both so I can see what she's talking about, but she's also modeling things and I can see it easily too. So what we're going to do before we begin our math lesson is we're going to go over some of the view options of your screen, because especially in a math lesson, we are going to be physically using tools, and we want to be able to see the screen and the teacher presenting this material. So I can't show you my screen, but I did take some screenshots of when I was in the SEL. And if you go to the very top of your Zoom screen, you are going to see that there is a you are viewing, and it should say Alicia Ariola's screen. And then there's going to be a little tab to the side that says view options. Now those view options are where we're going to be able to change the size of the screens. Now, when you click on view options, it's going to be the little arrow is going to do another drop down menu. Now here's where you're going to change the screen. We're going to go all the way down to where it says side by side mode. This is automatically going to give you those two screens at the same time. The shared screen with the presentation, and then hopefully my space is going to get a little bit bigger because I'm the speaker. But if it's not there yet, I'm going to show you where to get that. So right now I'm going to give you for just a few moments to go up to the top of your screen, find the green heading that says you are viewing, go to the little sidebar that says view options, hit the little triangle for the drop down menu, and I want you to find and click on side by side mode.
We are lucky to have Alicia in our math because she is the tech guru. She's on the tech team for the district. So, and you will have this presentation after, but do try this right now because it does make it much easier to follow along.
So until I teach you some other features, go ahead and put in the chat if you got it, or if you would like me to remodel again, and Stephanie's gonna jump in and I can go over it again. She's gonna be my eyes and ears until I switch the screen.
Does this work on a Chromebook as well?
You know, I haven't.
Most of it should work because it's the Zoom application itself, not the actual computer. But if there's any questions, remember you can put them in the chat, sweetie, and she'll answer them or give them to me whole group.
I have a lot of got it, but
Yay.
I see my Chromebook does not have it. It's only 2 options. I don't have these options. So,
if it's a Chromebook, it might have different options, and that means I will have to go back in and do some tutorials for your students, because then they're going to be using Chromebooks. All right, if you were able to do it, yay, I'm very happy. And if not, more things for me to work on to help you guys out. But we're now going to go up to the top where it says Zoom ratio. The Zoom ratio means it's going to tell you the size of your screen. And I usually do the 50% because it does the half and half. I see the screen, I see the presenter. But you can also go to the top one that says fit to window, and that means if you minimize your screen, it's going to keep them the same and the right size. So just a little hint, you can try between both of those tabs. You can actually try 300, 200 just to see what it looks like, but always go back to that 50-50 as a default to help you out. I'm going to give you a couple of seconds to play with it before we go to the most important button that you're going to hit. When you are in this Zoom view option, it's going to default to 50-50, but you may be seeing the entire audience to the other side. If you see the whole audience, you're going to go up to the top and you're going to click on speaker view. That means anyone who's talking, their screen's going to pop forward and you're going to see them. This is why it is so important that we follow the norms of mute yourself and wait to be called on, or raise your hand to speak, because if all your students start talking at the same time, then your screen is going to go in and out between every single person. You can pin the person who's speaking, but if you call on a student to share out and you want them to be larger, then they wouldn't appear. So really teaching these norms of mute yourself and wait to speak is going to be crucial to finding success in a digital environment.
All right, one thing to remind everyone about though, really quick, because I see that on here, somebody put, you know, you have the free Zoom. The district has given purchased a Zoom license, a professional license for every BCSD teacher. That is the platform that we are you know, looking to use this year as we virtually teach. And you need to be able to be using your BCSD account. If you are using a free account or your own personal account, you should be getting an email from, I believe it comes from Mr. Deaton, and it will say to join Doc Urban's Zoom
Account.
yeah, so we have already been given that, and it's been being rolled out to teachers, so you will all have that prior to school starting. Please make sure that you accept that you migrate or shift over to that. Also, it's important that you put your first and your last name, and not, you know, so-and-so's iPad or Scooby, whatever your nickname is or whatever, because we are using this in a professional setting. And I was gonna say something else. Oh, like Alicia said, there are so many tutorials already on the BCSD virtual learning website, and they're always adding to it. So I know Alicia's already added a couple more tutorials that she's gonna have to make, so.
And that website can be a little overwhelming, but one of the great things is we are going to hit on some high volume things in our sessions, and they will be recorded so that you can rewatch them later on your own if you do have a problem following along because you're trying to use technology and learn technology at the same time. We know it's a very difficult process, but we are here to help you. So let's talk about our agenda for today. We're going to focus on our norms, review some math behaviors, introduce a new document that's going to help you start planning, but we're really going to spend our time modeling a real math lesson that you can use in your classroom, and also teaching you some tips that will help you engage your students throughout the entire lesson. And then finally at the end, we will give you time to explore that website. And what I do at the end, because I'm a tech person, I do keep an extra 10-15 minutes after our session that if you have any tech-specific questions that you would like to ask me, I'll answer them at the very end so we don't overwhelm our audience whole class. All right, so let's talk about those virtual PD norms. You're going to have to teach these to your students, so they might be at the front of every lesson that you give them. And that first is mute yourself, because it comes very easily for students wanting to talk out. But just like you would tell in your class to wait your turn, this time it's going to be mute yourself and then wait to be called on. We're going to use the chat box. We're going to stay positive and patient through this entire process because we know it's overwhelming, but we want you to succeed, so we're here for you. So let's talk about using the chat. The chat is going to be for any questions related to this math process, the math lesson, maybe even some tech questions. All of those are going to be dropped in the chat, and we've got Stephanie and Mercy who is going to help read those questions, and they can jump in and ask them to me for you, and I'll share out, or they can answer you one-on-one in the chat. Second, we are going to ask for some engagement, and we're going to use the Zoom. So right now, I want to make sure that everyone has their chat window open, and they're going to click on participants. Did everyone find they should be on the side over here? When you click on chat, you can go up and click on participants. I want you to find your name. Here's where you can mute and unmute yourself too, but I really want you to look down at the bottom of this little participant window. Here, you're going to find tools to digitally participate with our lesson. You have a yes, no, you have a thumbs up, thumbs down, but more importantly, you have an option to raise your hand on a Zoom screen. So when we ask a question and you would like to answer, you're going to click on that digital raise your hand. If you are ready to go to the next step, you're going to click on yes. And what I can also see when I put you on a grid view, Stephanie is going to be helping me man the chat and know when it's time to move on, so we're not going too fast. But we're really going to utilize that raise your hand feature. So before we go on, why doesn't everyone try to find that feature and just practice raising their hand and then lowering their hand? I see lots of hands raised, yay. Now the thing with this is your hand will stay raised until the teacher calls on you. But what happens if the teacher doesn't get to you? You would just click on it again to lower your hand. And what you would do on the teacher side is you would take your screen and you would turn it to the grid view at the very top. But you really can't experience that until you're the host, but it's something good to practice with your PLC. But since you're students today, we're really going to practice that digital raise your hand.
So I'm lowering, because I'm lowering some of your hands for you. So
and that's perfectly, the teacher or host has that ability.
Yeah.
All right, so this is a math lesson. So we are going to be modeling true student behaviors. So hopefully all of you also have a journal and some pencils or crayons for you to write with, because before you begin any lesson, especially math, you would definitely ask your students to come with those tools. And luckily, if we were listening to the parent town meeting with Mr. Lukey, he says that students should be getting a physical toolbox full of crayons and erasers and pencils and paper that they will have, so they won't have. That is coming, hopefully, and we will get more information on that as it comes.
I was just going to say, that's a learning toolbox, because if you are working with social emotional, we have an emotional and relationship toolbox. So just
quite a few toolbox will be coming your way.
Yeah, learning toolbox.
So let's continue. And I usually kind of make these my norms for students to always have that notebook, just like they would bring out in a physical classroom. It becomes routine that they would bring out that notebook and crayons and a pencil. All right, we are still going to hit on our BCSD core priorities. We want this still to be a culture of teaching and learning. We believe that our students can still reach and meet grade level content standards, but it's going to take a completely different approach and time and effort. And I thank you for coming to these sessions to get a glimpse of what it could look like in your virtual classroom. I would like to say that we have a lot of answers when it comes to math and how you can teach math and engage students virtually with math, but there's a lot of unknowns, such as I don't know your assessment calendar or their school schedules. There's a lot of things still underway and they're being discussed, and we want your voices to be heard. So we're going to drop in what's called a digital parking lot. A digital parking lot is going to be dropped in the chat. Yes.
It's going out right now.
And we are going to be utilizing the chat to give you activities that you can participate on. So let's take a quick look at that digital parking lot if you haven't been to a session yet during Virtual Summer Institute. This is what we call the parking lot because it's just a place where you can park an answer or a question. You're going to find an empty box that doesn't have a blinking cursor in it, because this is a shared doc. That means everyone can get on it and work on it. And then you're going to click and type a question that you may have that we don't have the answer to. And feel free to share any worries, concerns, questions, because all of these will be sent to the district office. So Christine and Brandon and CNI can look over them, read through them, and get answers to you. So that digital parking lot is going to be yours to use throughout this entire session. Feel free to type any questions at any time as we move through our math session. So we are going to be utilizing that chat box a lot. So hopefully you were able to get that digital parking lot. If you couldn't click on a link, you can copy and paste it and you should be able to open up a brand new internet browser right here, and then just paste in the link. Every link we give you is internet based, so you just have to open up that new tab by the plus sign and paste in your link, and it will take you directly there. All right, so let's get into why you're really here with us. Now that we got all the housekeeping out of the way, let's begin. We are here to understand the lesson design and components that were created to create these math lessons for you that have a balanced approach utilizing the math behaviors that we were introduced to last summer. We are going to help you navigate and deliver a rich mathematical lesson that has mathematical behaviors and will allow students to engage with you even in a virtual classroom. And that is going to be an undertaking, but we can do it because we're second grade, and second graders are resilient and their teachers are the best. I'm biased, I'm sorry.
Christine has a hand raised.
I'm about to say, we do have a quick question. When you're called on, you can actually unmute yourself and just ask me straight.
I did something where I see half on half, I see like 12 participants on here, and your screen that you're showing learning intention and success criteria is very small. How do I fix that?
What probably happened is you went up there to view. You need to go back to 50-50 side by side because your proportions are off. So your screen is probably 20 and your audience is like 70.
So go to side by side?
Yeah, click on that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no problem.
The whole thing now.
All right.
Thank
I'm
you.
here for you, no problem. All right, so we really want to show you every single way that you can engage with students. And we're going to do that right now with an activity called Jamboard. If you've not heard of it or done it, it's a great, easy tool that students can immediately start using with a shared link. I'm going to click on this link because it's linked to my presentation, but in a few moments, Stephanie's going to drop it in the chat for you to participate with me. But let me demonstrate first. So by clicking on my link, I'm going to be taken to my Jamboard. This Jamboard has a question. Introduce yourself, what's your name, and what's your school? Pretty easy because this is a simple getting to know you activity. But how do students and you actually get content onto this digital whiteboard? We're going to use this little toolbar to the side. You have a pen, you've got an eraser, you've got a select to move things around, but then this is your best icon that your kids will love using, and it's the easiest one. It's called the sticky note. By clicking on it, this little box pops up that allows you to then type. So I'm going to say, I'm Miss A, and I'm behind. And then once you have typed, you can change the color, which makes it a little fun. I did real sticky notes in class, and that was the best part of it. They get to choose what color. And then once you've chosen a color, you just hit save. Now your sticky note automatically gets put onto the whiteboard, and this still pops up thinking it wants you to do another one. All you have to do is hit cancel. Then go over there, click and drag your sticky note around. It has the same blue dots you would find in any Google app. To change, you just click and drag, or do tiny. Let's do it probably tinier because we do have quite a few participants. But why don't you now jump on my Jamboard, click on a sticky note, type your name and school, change the color for a little fun, then hit save. Introduce yourself, guys.
There you go, friends. Here is the link to Jamboard, so you should be able to open that up and link on in.
Hi, Leslie. And that's the great thing about a teacher with a shared document. If you can see my screen, I can see how many people are on it. So if this is a shared activity and you click, I'm going to say, whoa, why is little Timmy not on here? Timmy, click on the link, please. And then you can also make sure that your students are on with you and actively participating. But go ahead and add a sticky note. Once you have it, make sure you do drag it to somewhere else on our Jamboard so that all of your wonderful names and schools can be seen and read. Now think of doing this with a math problem. What is 10 plus 6? Or what is an addition problem that equals 13? And they could all get on the Jamboard and answer that for a quick number talk or a quick math.
Quit that.
Hi, Mr. Herrera. We
Mimi's
got
on.
Miranda from Evergreen, Kimberly from Wayside,
Anthony's on.
Christy from Fletcher.
Look at all these friends.
Second grade.
Woo woo!
And you know what?
Hey, I'm trying to put on, I was trying to add my own Bitmoji on here from here, but it's not letting me.
Because
It's you're only allowing,
kind of giving some security to me. If you
Okay.
wanted that, you could go to image and probably upload it if I gave you permissions.
no. I just was trying to do it from my extension and thought I'd throw it in there, but.
Come on now, this is the way we practice to see what we can do. But this really is a quick getting to know you activity. I easily see who you are. In our tech session, we even kind of categorize you by color for yes, no questions, so you can automatically see what's going on. So Jamboard is a wonderful tool. And what's great about it is it's connected to your Google Drive. So for example, if you open up a brand new tab and you type in jamboard.google.com, it automatically brings you up to your Jamboards that you have, and then you would have a plus sign at the bottom right here that gets you creating. It's as easy as that. So I really suggest later on you take the opportunity to play around with it to see what it's like. All right, so that was one way that we engaged our students in a math lesson. This one was a getting to know you, but it's very easy to turn it into a math talk or show your answer or give your opinion. So really, I want to say explore Jamboard.
Hey,
Alright.
can I stop you for just a second? Because
Yes.
Teresa Johns has a really, she says, every time I click on the links you supply, it opens a new screen and the Zoom screen disappears and I have to go back to the original link.
That's going to happen a lot. Do you have the app at the very, very bottom of your screen when you open up a new link? You should have a tab for your Zoom that you can just go back and forth.
So it's actually not closing, Teresa. It's just,
Minimizing it.
yeah, minimizing it.
Okay, all right.
But hey, no, your students are going to get that. And so asking these questions, please do, because this is the troubleshooting that you're wanting, I think. This is going to happen with your students, and this is how you would kind of help them through it. So
Keeping it real for you, ladies. Keeping it real.
So whenever you open up a new screen, it is going to cover over your Zoom, but it's not shutting your Zoom down. You would just click on the other window at the bottom to open something up. All right. Say hello to what you learned last summer, hopefully, or you can put it into practice over the year, or if you're learning it brand new, that's also good. It is our student math behaviors. And we're going to try a skill out that I've never done before because we're all about learning. In Zoom, you have the ability to turn over your mouse to someone in your audience. So Stephanie, I'm going to give you control of the mouse to see if you can change the screen.
I have all power now. Thanks, Alicia.
Students can interact.
There you go. Look at that. Did I just do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So students can do this, and what's great about this is if students share their screen with you, you can work on their screen immediately to help them out with whatever they are struggling with.
All right. So she just shared that ability, and now I'm the one that is able to. Remember when you have a tech problem and you'd call that 1-800 number and they'd say, let us get onto your computer, and then all of a sudden they'd start doing stuff? Now we can do it. Look how fancy that is. Thank you. So like she said, these are our math behaviors that we were introduced to last year. And I love these because they definitely put these into an understanding where you can call these out and you can see what your students are doing. what behaviors your students are showing, what this should look like for MP1, MP2, MP3, all of that. And remembering to have that growth mindset and that positive attitude. We are going to put you into some breakout rooms to talk about that in a second. But one thing that I created after teaching Math Institute last year was this quick little visual for my students. And so when I would create my Google or my slides, my math for my students, I wanted them to know what this meant. This right here is a great tool, but there's a lot of words, there's a lot of information. And so I wanted my students to understand that they were thinking, they were reasoning, they were making sense, and they were problem solvers in math. And so I quickly just broke it down and color coded it this way, but I wanted them to see themselves as mathematicians and how the different things that they were doing. And so hopefully this is an easy way for you to share with your second graders, and you are easily able to call out, hey, you just reasoned, you were just reasoning with, your neighbor about that or whatever. So please make sure that you're using these MP, this chart that the district has given us, and then, oops, it's not letting me go back. And did you take away my control? Maybe she take it.
Well, say yes.
Yeah, there we go.
I wanted to do that because I wanted to show you that teachers do have the ability to take it back.
Did you really just take it back from me?
Yes, student, I did.
I love it. I love it. Okay.
So if you give it to a student and they kind of take it over, because some of the students will, you do have the ability as a teacher to take it back. And those are just some of the Zoom controls that you have with this upgraded account. And we really want to show you all these little tech tricks that can help you navigate and do classroom management on your end, even though you're across the screen from each other.
Yeah, so there was a teacher who asked, how do you do that? Please show.
It is very simple, and maybe I can hopefully pull this up really quick. Do you still see my screen?
Yes.
My Zoom profile. Okay. When you open up your meeting, you have settings, and you have lots of different abilities to change the security features. And I had to go through this, but if you go all the way down, it says right here, I believe that you can share your mouse with other people. And
you really do need to explore Zoom. That once you get the professional, I know somebody's worried that they won't get it in time, but really go through all of these because there are so many buttons and capabilities that you want to be able, that you're utilizing it to the best. And
so I've scrolled all the way down to this feature right here, and these are some of the settings that are mandatorily already set, so they will work automatically. But it says remote control. During screen sharing, the person who's sharing can allow others to control the shared content. You can also do the nonverbal feedback, which is clicking on the icons in the participant panel. And those are the two things that we just showed you that you can utilize to help students engage with your lesson. And that was just found when you open up your Zoom account by going to zoom.us and you sign in. It will be under your security features. And there are videos to help you, but this will try to model as much as I can from my end to kind of show you where things are. All right, so back to this slide. We were talking about how to get students to elicit those mathematical behaviors, because we as a teacher use those to further our instruction. So we have a question to ask you. We're going to utilize something called breakout rooms because they are a feature of Zoom. Mark Lukey did mention them in the town parent meeting that teachers could use them, but it's an option. There are pros to breakout rooms and there are cons. And so during this task, it's going to be twofold. I have a question I'm going to ask you, and then I want you to think about the experience being in a breakout room. So you're going to discuss in your breakout rooms, which is when I take a whole group of us 30 people and break you into smaller groups of about 5. You will be in your own isolated group. You'll leave me. You won't see me, unfortunately. I won't see you. You'll only be with your 5 people to do this task. Now, when you're in your breakout group, you're going to think of what are ways that students can show these mathematical behaviors to you in a virtual classroom. You may not know the answer to that, so you're going to think about what do I do in my normal class to get them thinking mathematically, and could I use any of those strategies virtually? So what do you do already to engage students? And then do you think any of those strategies you could use virtually? Now that's the mathematical portion, but we're throwing in a little tech. When you're in a breakout session, really think, is this environment, is this situation, is this breakout room option good for my students? Would I use it? And you're gonna think of some pros and cons to share out in the chat, or we're going to digitally raise our hands so you can share out. All right, when I put you in a breakout room, a little box is going to appear on your screen that says you are being invited to join room 1, room 2, hit join. While you're in this breakout room, I, as a teacher, can jump between the rooms to check on you, but I can only check on one group at a time. So there are some downfalls. So here we go. I'm going to put you into breakout rooms. I'm going to put you into about 6 rooms so that there's about 5 of you in each room, and I'm going to automatically do it so the computer is going to shuffle people into groups by itself. All right, I will see you in about 2 to 3 minutes. I really want you to think of the experience. Is it a good experience? Is it useful? Is it a good use of your time? Because all of these things you're going to have to think about when you decide, should you use a breakout room with your 2nd graders? All right, I will see
3
you.
minutes on the clock.
I'll see you about 2 to 3 minutes unless I jump into your room. All right, you're being invited.
I know that a lot of people appreciate these extra little tips, so that's awesome.
All right, it looks like 2 did not get into their group, so if you want to lead the conversation with these 2, I'm going to jump into a room, okay? Oh, yep, there went one.
Oh,
There they went.
they're like, never mind, we're out of here.
Okay. Can you jump into some of the groups too, or just me?
I don't know. Let's see, breakout rooms. No, just the
okay.
me too.
So then if it was a special ed teacher, you could not add the special ed teacher as a host. You would have to add him as a participant to then put him into a specific room. Gotcha.
And they have to go into a specific room, yeah.
All right, so then that's something we can spread and tell and help people out with. All right.
Question
Yeah.
super quick. When we come back, oh, where'd our games go? Oh, it's because I'm not opened up into that. What do you want me to do? Anything different?
I liked it.
The PD.
The math lesson?
Yeah.
I liked it. So
Okay.
I say go with what we do because
Okay.
it was good.
Okay. Perfect.
All right. I'll
I'll
be
just
back in.
follow you. Okay.
All right, I'm done.
I don't know what it's doing. I can't hear you.
Like probably 1 more minute.
Okay.
I think they're really just having a good conversation about would you use a breakout room?
And I think that's important because you had said, would you feel comfortable with your second graders? And then I thought, would some of those teachers be comfortable with it as well? You know, so that's a big question too. Because
Let's
like
do a message so they can see what that looks. It's just, and then you can move people from group to group if you saw someone wasn't working
did
well with
see
that
that.
group. All right, I just wanted them to get a taste since it's.
Yes, no, exactly. That was great.
Come on back.
Bring on here.
Welcome back, Kimberly. Hi, Trent. Hi, Perla. I see you now.
Good morning. What are your pros and cons?
So as you come in, you can drop a comment in the chat, which we can share out for you, or you can raise that digital hand and we can call on you to share out. Either you can talk about math behaviors or discuss the pros and cons of would you use a breakout room with your second graders? Because both questions and both topics really do hold weight with teaching in a virtual classroom.
So go ahead and put it either in the chat or raise your hand. And we do have Marianne who's raised her hand again to share about the jam or the breakout session itself or about mathematical practices in your students' behaviors.
All right, when you close down a breakout room, you know that everyone is back by looking at the number of participants on the bottom of your toolbar as a host. So I'm going to reiterate the question once more that I asked you before the breakout. And it was to either have a conversation about math behaviors and how you could get your kids to engage, or the pros and cons of actually using a breakout room in your classroom, because that can be a conversation all in itself. You can either drop your comment in the chat and Stephanie can share out, or raise the digital blue hand to share out. And we do have, Stephanie's gonna take it away and call.
All right, so I see Sandy has a question just about math journals. You know, I'm not sure what materials they will be giving us. I know we were really into math journals last year, but I'm not sure about that.
I think we may just have to designate a plain journal as math journal, maybe.
Yeah. I thought there was somebody who had a pro. Christine said a pro would be to work with small groups for extra support. Exactly, a breakout room could be used for small groups. Whiteboards, if the students have access.
And so we're going to call on some people now with their digital hand raise. So I know this one, Miss Perla. Go ahead and you can unmute yourself and share out with the group. Miss Bertula. Mary.
While we're waiting for her, somebody asked about viewing the questions while they're in the breakout room. And that is a tricky area because earlier when I was doing another session, we had the teachers take a picture of the questions so that they would have access to it. So, you know, I don't know. I do know how. You can broadcast a message. Did you guys get a message that said 1 minute until you come back?
Our closing room soon.
Yeah, so you could put a message, the question in there.
Oops, little delayed on the tech.
Okay. First off, my group guys, I bugged out early.
Your network bandwidth is low, Perla. It's telling me why. So do you want to drop it in the chat, Perla, and then we'll answer it there? Okay, we'll see if that works. And then we will go to Raphael. Thank you for raising your hand.
So quick question. question. What is the expectation of the district in regards to student engagement? You know, the reason I mention this is because earlier in the year, you know, around March when we got dismissed, we had to do the disciplining. None of us could guarantee that all the kids were going to be
Can you
logged
hear me?
on or engaged.
You can't hear me.
So
By
what we're
What,
hoping for is that parents are
Oh,
going
I
to be
do.
held accountable for that. They were not before, so
Yeah, that's
students will be required to log in every single morning or every single time you're supposed to call them back at a certain time. If they do not log in, the idea that is being thrown around is that that's an absent. And if they're absent, that's going to be then forwarded on, just like they would be absent from school. And then your face gets involved, home visits, and things like that. So they're
Yeah.
treating it, even though it's a virtual classroom, that it is a classroom. 8 to 2, those students are yours. They should be with you somehow connected. I mean, they're supposed to have access to the teacher. We need to have access to them. So either through Zoom meetings or answering a message through Class Dojo or Google Classroom, those students need to be with you because that is their 200 and however many minutes that have been worked out. And if they aren't, we record that, it goes into Aries as absences, and then it gets pushed out to the face and the district and your school to handle from there. So it won't be like, I couldn't get a hold of so-and-so, too bad, I'm gonna write it down in this form. There's going to be repercussions now that this is mandated, this is school, and so.
And they did mention that the office and your support staff and the BIS and all of that, they would be making those communications, not the teacher. So Marianne has her hand raised. Marianne, is it also still about the donors choose? Okay, so unmute yourself. Let me see. We got you, we got you.
Okay, that's all I did. I put on chat because I couldn't get through before about donors' shoes. That, you know, if you go on to, like, one of the ladies in our group was talking to us about donors' shoes, and that if you go on to Google and put that, you can ask for, you can ask, tell them things you want, and they usually give you money to buy it online.
All right, yes, donors choose is a way to get extra things. Hopefully the district will help us out, but we won't know for official supplies yet until we get the memo. So to keep us moving along, that conversation you had in your breakout rooms is something you're going to have with your PLCs and with you, because yes, there are pros to breakout rooms and there are definitely cons as well. And based on maybe just your class, you can use it or you won't. And that's something you'll decide when school starts. All right. So our key essential standards, this is a document that was created to help you start planning your lessons. It is a streamlined framework of all the essential standards that you need to teach in second grade for math. And it is very similar to the unit plans, but what they've really focused on in this essential standards document that I'm about to open up is they've listed prerequisite skills, and they've also given you kind of a pacing guide to help you reach all of these standards in this crazy time when we know that our students may not get the 100% content we want them to get. What's great about this is that it is going to help you to streamline everything. So let's look at the second grade standards really quick. They are posted on the EdTech website under a second grade homepage, but you will also get a link to this presentation, and we linked them right there for you. So the ELA standards and the math ones are on the same document. So math is going to be at the bottom. And here we're going to quickly go over the layout. It is giving you a time frame of when you could teach this content and maybe how long to stay on it. It's going to give you some prerequisite skills and then the content of what you can teach within this time frame. So the reason I'm showing you this is that the curriculum team and the teacher teams who came together to create your math lessons use this guide. And so a lot of the lessons that are going to be found on our website are going to be reaching this standard right here, which is count to 120 and then use addition strategies. And so this is the guidebook kind of that they use to help start planning the lessons out for you. And so it will help you when you get to your PLCs and start planning out the content to start pulling out those specific areas that you are going to have to teach. I'm going to scroll down just a little bit more, and you're going to see that what I was talking about for prerequisite skills, they're right here. Now, we know that our students lost at least 3 months of math content, and we as a district cannot go back and reteach those 3 months, because then it pushes our content even further down, and so then they're even further behind. So what this document does is that it integrates every single skill that was missed during those 3 months into the time frame of a second grade year. So right here, you can see that this was a first grade skill. They may need to know this standard before they can move on to this one. So when you're doing quick assessments of your students, if you realize that they're struggling with this standard, you can easily go back and try to teach the prerequisite skill. So that's basically the layout. It gives you a time frame of when you can teach this, how long to stay on it, those essential standards, and then prerequisite skills to help you start planning and filling in the gaps that happen because of our school closure.
Alicia,
This is really a document to take with your PLCs though and digest. Yes.
really quick, and this also works well. It goes with your unit. Everything kind of goes together. But we have a couple of questions.
Yes.
One is, will students be responsible for completing one math lesson to be turned in daily? I don't know that we have the exact answer to that question.
To be honest, I think that's more of a teacher teaching thing. This is not about the district mandating you have to do a lesson every single day, a different lesson. You wouldn't do that in your real classroom. What it means by holding students accountable is that they're with you, they're engaged, they're working on some kind of content. And I know for me, sometimes I've been on the same content for an entire week. So don't hold this to be 100% absolute the guide. You do not have to spend 4 weeks on here. You do not have to start with this standard. If you want to do place value first, go for it. This is just giving you a road, and if you want to take a detour to get to the end and reach the end of second grade, that's perfectly fine. When I think of giving content to students in the class, it would be they would get math instruction with me maybe once every day, but that would come down to the schedules that your school puts out. I know at our school we always do that every year, is what's being taught when. That would definitely be a principal question, I think.
Okay, couple of things, because we don't want to belabor the things that the unknowns, but somebody else asked about the consumable math textbook. Yesterday, when I was in an ELA session, Brandon Ware and Christine Chapman were in on that at the very end. We don't have an answer exactly on consumables. I will also tell you that no hard copies, packets. There will be 0 hard copy packets like we're done in the spring. Christine Chapman said we owe our students more, and we are educators, and this is our profession. They also said that there will be no homework. Brandon Ware, excuse me, said there will be no homework packets. There will be no hard copy homework packets. So in regards to the consumable, I don't know. What we are giving you today are virtual lessons that can be taught with components where our students will be able to use Google Classroom, use all the different virtual tools to show their learning and show their growth for you.
And that's exactly where we're going now, is we're going to jump into an actual lesson plan that has been created, that has engagement, and it also has opportunities for students to complete work independently in a Google Classroom, but in a virtual digital way. So the lesson plans you're about to see are going to be broken up and created basically the same. You will find lesson plans that say these are the standards that are going to be hit. And you can see right here, even though this is a second grade lesson plan, we're reviewing some first grade content here. They've got learning intentions and success criteria for you, some materials such as Google Slides and integrated videos that will help you teach. And there's even some questions and sentence frames that you can ask throughout the lesson to help your students engage through the chat or by raising their hands. So let's get into the lesson. Our lesson for today is going to hold many of these components. Most of our daily lessons will definitely have a presentation that you can pull up to go through with the students. The learning intention and success criteria should be written for you, or some give you the freedom to make your own. And there's going to be a lesson that's going to have a daily format that you're about to see is going to be very similar for all lessons. So here we go. Second grade math lesson. I am going to go to present this one so it's nice and big like you would do for your students. And we're going to act like this is a full-on lesson, but we're going to do it like in a condensed way so it doesn't take like the normal time it would take. So welcome students to our math lesson for today. Don't forget, as we go through our math lesson, to be mathematical thinkers. We're going to use thinking, reasoning, sense making, and problem solving to work through our problems. And here's our number talks.
All right. So here we have our number talk for the day. I want you to use mental math. I see 7 plus 7 plus 3. Can you solve that problem for me using mental math? Let me give you a couple seconds. All right, raise your hand if you would like to share your number talk discussion. Nobody's raising their hand.
I was about to say, at this point,
Marianne and then Sherry.
You want me to answer?
Yes, please. How did you solve this problem?
Well, I know that 7 plus 7, that they're doubles, and 7 plus 7 is 14. So then I just added 3 more, 14.
Love it. So you recognized, friend, that there was a doubles fact. So you took the 7 plus 7 plus 3 and you got 17. All right, Sherry, how did you solve this problem?
Well, she copied me, but I know that there's another way to solve it, so I can make a 10. So I went 7 plus 3 is 10, and then I added 7 more.
So you did 7 plus 3, and then you counted on 7 more. Okay, did anybody draw a picture? Or not draw a picture, but did anybody, think about dots in their head or anything? So most of you did one of those two. Give me a thumbs up if you did one of those two. All right. This one's a pretty straightforward one for us, but we can talk about the doubles, the making a 10, adding on, all of that.
and now we're going to add a little tech to it. So we had 2 people who are probably our more confident people, and that's going to happen with their students. Not everyone is going to want to share out on a Zoom. How do we get participation from everybody? Well, in Zoom, you can make a poll, which means you can create a question and then I can broadcast it to you on your screen. So I'm going to do that right now. So right now, look at your screen and you should see a question that says, what strategy did you use to solve the problem? 7 plus 7 plus 3. Did you use doubles, make a 10, counting on, counters, or did you draw a picture in your head? Or maybe you thought of a completely different way and you can put other. Now, when you make a poll on the teacher end, I can see that right now, 50% of my students have participated. I can also see which strategy is the most used in my class. So then I can maybe go back and teach another strategy to help build that up as well as the other. So we got a couple more people who are finishing their poll, and I'm going to end it in just a few seconds. So
Lots of you did make a 10. I like making 2.
And I love that it gives a timer, because after a minute, I tell my students time's up. Or if it's a harder question, you could give them 2 minutes. But really, this is just having them share their thinking in a way that's a little bit less out there, because some kids are going to be shy at the beginning. But what's really great is I can now turn and share those results to you. Just in our class, who can make a observation of what our class is really strong in? Who wants to share out? You remember, you can raise your hand.
I see, Miss Ariola, that make a 10 was the most share, or the most common among us.
And does Mimi want to share what strategy she chose and which one she clicked on?
I share adding those numbers with make a 10, but I also noticed that nobody used counters, drew a picture or other, because we were asked to use our mental math.
See?
Good job.
So these little things are great for a teacher to understand, but every student got a chance to participate without having to type in the chat or put themselves out there to talk, because at the beginning of the year, it's going to be very hard to build that relationship the first couple of days, but you still can get them engaged by making a quick poll. And how you do that is, remember I showed you that screen with settings? Well, when you make a actual Zoom, you can plan your questions out beforehand. So like in a POC, if you're making a Zoom lesson, you can put those questions in so they're ready for you to automatically just launch the polls at the right time during a lesson. So that's just another little tech trick to get you having student engagement.
So Soma, she asked how they do that, and again, in settings. So you'll have to and go into settings.
I can stay like a little bit after our time to go a little bit more in depth with the tech if you wish, okay? And then I can go right into a Zoom meeting and show you where you can put that in. All right, so a lot of what you're going to see in these math lessons is going to be a number of the day. And here you have some virtual manipulatives. And remember, when you're using virtual manipulatives, you cannot use it in present mode. You have to take it back to the actual slide that is you're working on. So here we're building what? 52. And this is a great way for student engagement, because with them, all they would have to do is what, Stephanie?
So grab out their paper.
I do apologize for that.
And they're going to show that to you, so that then there is that automatic quick engagement. But the one thing that we talked about in this was, you know, when those little first graders come to you, they are going to want to draw a box and draw all the little tiny lines. And so just like you set up the expectations and the routine and schedule in your classroom, you're going to have to do that with them too. Be very explicit in your directions, model. And so you're going to make sure that you show them. All right, friends, when we are showing 100s, it's just a quick, well, I'm not even looking at it, sorry. It's just a box. Then a 10, a line, simple. And my ones, oh, you don't have to go and draw a fancy box for me. It's just a dot. And you need to make sure that you are modeling those things, because you are not able to walk around and to see them. So be very explicit in your instructions, and don't be afraid to model, because they need that right now.
And this was a good stop for me when she brought this up, because I wasn't even going to add this slide. This was not in the original lesson. We, as a quick PLC, talked about what students need, what real second graders would have problems with. And we said, whoa, they're going to want to draw out that 100 block with all the little squares. Well, you need to take a stop for a moment and actually take it back to pen and paper. And me as a tech person, I was like, no, keep moving. I'm like, no, we can't forget the little physical things we teach kids because they're not with us. And I was going to do that. So I had to thank Stephanie for taking those moments within a math lesson, stopping, modeling. And if you're in your classroom, you could pull up your Elmo because it's still on a shared screen, or in a Zoom, you can actually switch your camera and switch to a web camera or some other thing you may have at home. But just make sure you are modeling it if it's just on your whiteboard. And I had to be stopped and remembered or reminded of that. So I always say,
Mimi, you are right. You can model on a smart board. You can, because I do plan to teach from my classroom, but sometimes I'm going to be sitting at my carpet and I'm going to literally be using my phone to Zoom and not my computer. And so you have to think about those things. I want to use, Alicia and I were talking about this the other day. I was like, do you think I should get a GoPro and like, you know, not attach it to my head or anything, but really I found that you can mirror your phone screen just like you can on an Apple TV. You can mirror your phone, iPhone or Android, to your Zoom. And so there could be multiple things that you're doing. And I know that's not for everybody. I know that. So you do what is comfortable for you. But if I'm sitting at my carpet, I'm going to have my read aloud and I'm going to have all of my tools right there for me. And so I'm just going to simply do it right there, especially because they will hopefully have a whiteboard on their lap as well. Okay.
Another quick trick is, remember we used Jamboard at the beginning and I said there was a pen feature. You could keep a Jamboard open in a separate window. And if you wanted to model and you're not afraid of drawing with your mouse, you could just open up that window and draw it out with them. If it's really hard to hold up a whiteboard, because that was always me, I was like this for most of the time. You can do that too and draw on your screen with a digital whiteboard. It's just that whole modeling the process that we can't forget. And thank you, Stephanie, for calling me out on it, because I would have forgot. All right.
So here is another one of my favorite. Math in second grade is amazing. That was one of the reasons why I was hesitant to go back to kindergarten, is because my love for math blossomed over the past few years when I started to explore number talks, estimation, math tasks. And I bet a lot of you have used this, which one doesn't belong. I love which one doesn't belong. Second graders love it, especially when you're using real life pictures. I have made some of my own. I've also gotten some off of TPT, where I've even done this with my family members, adults, and I will show them which one doesn't belong. And then I want to hear their reasoning. And sometimes second graders come up with things that blow your mind. Like, I would have never thought about that. So I love how this format is very consistent. There's a number of the day, a number talk, and then there'll be different things like this implemented in. Again, this was directly in the lesson that we were given by the district. We did tweak it a little bit because we realized that we needed some interaction. So I would say to you, friends, I have 4 pictures. I have the letter R, I have a rainbow, I have a fish, and I have a robot. Can you show me on your finger which one doesn't belong? Now remember, friends, you have to be able to tell me why. You have to be able to explain your reasoning of why it doesn't belong. So friends, get your fingers up, look at those 4 boxes. And if you think the fish doesn't belong, give me a 3. If you think the R doesn't belong, give me a 1. All right? I'm gonna give you some thinking time, and then I need you to show me your answers. A 1.
Here's where you model with your students with tech that when you're in class, the video is on. The teacher has to see your face, has to see your engagement, has to see your reaction. And when students want to turn off their video, that's one of the things you talk to with at the very beginning. You make the very norm that it's on all the time. You're a teacher, so it's cool right now because this is your summer vacation. But with students, you have to definitely set the tone that your camera is on all the time. There's no reason for it not to be on, because we are talking about setting an area where they can learn. The only reason it would be off is if their internet is slow. When you turn it off, it can speed it up. But when that happens, you can drop your answer in the chat. So yes, if your video is off, I will not make you turn it on, but at least put your answer in the chat for us. 1,
Okay,
2,
everybody,
3, 4,
give me your
4.
fingers. 1, 2, 3, or 4. All right, Jose. Jose, you tell me why you chose your answer. Jose, you have to unmute. There you go. You got it.
Yes, I chose number 1 because it's the only one that is a letter. The other ones are pictures.
Ah, Alicia,
That was mine.
I agree with that too. Oh, good. Okay. All right. Anybody else have? I see 1s, I see 3s. Anybody say a 2? No. All right. I see a lot of 3s. If you had a 3, who would like to volunteer for us? Why doesn't it belong?
And if you also chose a 3, you can also give a thumbs up as a digital response so we know that you agree with the person speaking. So go ahead and give that a try. If you did choose 3, go ahead and give a thumbs up in your digital response with participation. And that's another way to get your students discussing with each other and talking in a silent way.
Thank you, Teresa. So Teresa agreed. And it's not to give your students hoops and like things to make sure that are they on, but it's just to keep them engaged, right? And if you set up these expectations and you keep the format similar, then your students who love a schedule, they love having things the same, will be able to meet your expectations. Yes.
And you know your little second graders want to share out and participate. And if every kid gets to participate every single time and share their thought, either by putting it in the chat or doing a digital thumbs up, then you're probably getting more feedback from your students than in a whole classroom when you couldn't call on every single student. So tech can be very beneficial to get a overall picture of how your students think.
And Jennifer asked if you can take the hands away. Or, you know, yes, you can. I can hover over you if you, Jennifer, if you'd like to raise your hand on the screen. Because I'm the host, I now can go over hers and I can take hers away. I can also unmute you. So,
Yep.
Yes, Jennifer.
So it's just really cool how Zoom has these built-in features for audience engagement. And it's not just thinking of how you can utilize them for math.
Now,
And we're going to go into another review activity that is dealing with a hundreds chart. So a lot of these activities are for your math review before you start your math lesson. So these were taught in previous lessons because this was a day 3, I think. So here's a hundreds chart, and what do you notice? It's just a picture. How can we engage with this PDF basically of a hundreds chart? Well, what do you think, Stephanie?
Well, I want to say something really quick because somebody earlier had asked if you can incorporate PDFs, and here's your answer. You sure can, because it's just a picture you're just inserting in there. So this is a PDF, this hundreds chart right here was a PDF. That's what the district gave us. Then when we were in our PLC, we were like, 100 to 120, that's a really long, if we had our kids with their math journals out, that would take forever. So Alicia said, you know what? We said we can have a stop and a start point. So look what Alicia did with this green and this red circle.
So green means go. So I can put it anywhere on this chart that I want my students to start counting from. And then red means stop. So then I can put it at an ending number. So right here and now, I just modified this generic reaches every student and focused it in on my needs, because my students, if I asked them to fill in a hundreds chart, would take forever, some of them. And I don't want to wait that long, or I can't wait that long in a whole class setting. So being able to do these little modifications is already helping me teach my students and my own kind of pacing.
And then
they
this
can
is
do the journal.
And this is good because then they could do this on their whiteboard, because you could say, students, I just want you to write the number, either the missing numbers or the numbers between 22 and 40. And then there's room on their whiteboard for that.
And so this is what we call, from a PDF, it's not digital. It really is just a blank piece of paper.
It's not interactive.
We can do so much more with technology. So here is another example of a hundreds chart. And this time, students can click on the missing numbers and type in those empty squares. So with here, they were forced to write it in a journal. Here, they can actively engage with this hundreds chart to complete it. And there's little directions and even a tutorial video to teach students how to do it. So when we talk about students working asynchronously, which means they're without me, these are the kind of activities that you could utilize. Yes, you can give them this one too, which is perfectly fine. Maybe they will write all their numbers or their number chart in a journal and share that picture with you. Or you can share this slide with them in Google Classroom and they can fill in the empty answers and you will have access to it to grade and give feedback on.
And what's great is that all Alicia did for this, because again, that one was a PDF that we can't interact with. Here on this one, all she did was make a table. And it's easy to do. You just insert a table and then go from there. Also, she can then just copy, like duplicate that slide. And you've probably all used Google Classroom with your students. So you can then upload, not this entire lesson, but just the interactive portions. And I'm not sure, I think it maybe was Sandy who had asked earlier, like if there's gonna be one math lesson due a day. Well, this could be where they show their learning, because you take out 2 or 3 slides that are interactive. You assign it to them in Google Classroom, and then that feedback comes right to you once they submit and return that, they complete that assignment.
So in my mind, when it says, does there have to be a math activity like this every single day? Yes, you could do an activity like this that's digital. It could be where they write in their journals for math another day. It could be they use freckle lessons one day. So I just think each day has some form of math engagement. And it doesn't have to be as fancy as this every single day, even though there are things like this that you can use and put into your Google Classroom. You could just put up 4 or 5 math problems and have them working on a piece of paper so they keep those fine motor skills going. I mean, we're going to use everything we have to get them working on and doing their math content. So I say use every tool in your toolbox, and if that's a PDF, because that was a really great PDF, I love that lesson, you can just upload that PDF to a Google Classroom and they can work in a math journal, because I don't want them to lose those writing skills that write your numbers neatly, line up your numbers. They'll lose things like that unless we do practice with a pen and paper. So all avenues are wonderful. All right, welcome to a digital virtual manipulative page that was simply created in this Google slide by using a picture of a PDF and some shapes as manipulatives. We're going to show you a great site that has virtual manipulatives and math manipulatives, but sometimes you just want to make your own. So we're going to show you both to give you both options. So this lesson is all about whole, part, part. And here you can model by moving the counters around, and you can work with it. Now here's the problem. Your students need to be following along with you. They don't have access to this digital slide, and I just want them to actually do the activity. So here is where I would ask for a little break. Your students have been watching your lesson for probably a long time, and they're probably getting a little antsy. Here's where we would call, hey kids, go get your manipulatives. We do it in the classroom all the time. Go get your bucket of 10 blocks or your 1 blocks. They don't have those tools, but I bet you they could find counters. And when we specify that counters can be any little object that they can count, then they can find anything in their house to count with. So here's where we would say, before we start our lesson, I want you to follow along with me. So go get your counters. I want you to find 20 things that you can count with, okay? I'm gonna put a timer up. When the timer goes off, you need to be back in your seat. Twofold. One, they're getting their own manipulatives. And second, you're getting them out of their seat to move around, get out any wiggles, to stretch, maybe go run and use the restroom and get a drink of water, and they're back with you. Now, you might have to model this several times. If you do keep it like a 2-minute, that timer in the classroom works wonderful. Put a timer up on your computer so they can hear it. And so when they hear that timer, they'll be like, oh, I need to go back and sit down, because little second graders probably can't tell time. But there are some loud timers that you can get digitally, and we'll show you what it looks like later on in the presentation. But
and
yes.
Before we get there, some people have talked about NextGen. NextGen is a school site purchase. So it's not a district-wide purchase. So if your school site continues with that, then that will be available. Prodigy, of course, is a great one. Sherry mentioned that our McGraw-Hill does have a digital component with manipulatives. Those are great. We're going to show you even more digital manipulatives that are amazing.
The only problem with our math program itself is that the digital platform is not friendly at all. So we're going to give you other avenues of ways to get virtual manipulatives instead of having to make them yourself. Because when you're making a math lesson on a Wednesday, you don't want to have to make all of your stuff. You want to be able to use tools that already exist, and we're going to help you there. All right, so here is where you would also do that little modeling bit where you have the students draw this little simple math organizer of the box with the 2 boxes, and then you would model. And what's great about this is you could take it completely off digital, and you could just put it under an Elmo or with a camera and do it physically with physical objects too, so students really see the connection. And then maybe move into this later if kids aren't seeing the one-to-one correspondence. So we're not taking away the physical, actual hold things in your hand. Kids need that. And we're just going to be resourceful and let kids participate. And what's great about it is kids will find the funnest objects, whether it's 20 crayons or jelly beans or paper clips or stuffed teddy bears. I did this when I did distance learning back in May. I would say, okay, guys, we're going to do this. I need you to go find something to count with. And they would have toy cars, and they kind of thought it was fun because it wasn't just those little round yellow and red counters. So then what we wanted to show you is more of the digital kind of activities you could give your students. So here is a question that's been posed to the students. You've been modeling this whole part with counters and physical objects, and then you can take it to an activity. So it says, okay, now let's look at those 13 dots. How can we create an addition problem with the 13? Move the dots around in the number sense boxes and make different addition problems. What's great about this is that it's automatically 13. Kids won't get confused that they have 14 or 15. There's only 13 dots. And then we do have little videos to teach kids how to click and drag, and so that they can work on these activities by themselves. And then what they can do is they can even write the problems in their journal so that they are using the virtual, but also keeping the handwriting. So these are like integrated both. And that's really how your whole day from writing to math to reading is going to go. It's going to be this blend of digital and good old pen and paper, because it's this mesh that we're going to find success.
And again, this is a component that you could assign out. You could assign 1 or 2 of these in a Google Classroom, and they could change them around. You could, even if it does, and it says make 5 addition problems, then you could put 5 slides that were the exact same that equaled 13, and they would have to show you 5 different ways. You could even incorporate text boxes so they could put 5 + 8 to show under their picture.
So what she's pointing out is a really great example of taking these lessons and building out with them. They are not the one-all, be-all. You have to follow step by step by step. These are your platform, and then you can build on them, rearrange them, cut things out, and really make them fit your class and your needs. And so what Stephanie was talking about is, I like this problem. It's asking for 5 different addition problems. I've given them an example. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to highlight this slide. Do you see how on the side over here it's yellow? If I right click on this slide, there's a little button that says duplicate. When I duplicate it, the same exact slide is going to occur. But I probably should move all the counters off before I do that. So now I have my example slide for students to see, and then I've created another one that they can do on their own. And if you wanted 5 different problems, how many times do you think I should duplicate this slide? 5 times. And then that could be your activity for independent. And all you would do is now don't duplicate the one that has the example. Just go down to the one that's clear and you just right click, duplicate, right click, duplicate.
And again, you're still asking them for 13, but it's so important for our second graders to be able to see the different ways that they make that. So
and I'm going to highlight that right now. That wasn't done for me, but I want my students to know. See how we're editing it and changing this lesson right now just with feedback? And we didn't even create this lesson with the last group. We're building off of each other, just a discussion. But now, do you see all of these lesson slides? Do your students need all of them? Yes or no? Thumbs up or thumbs down really quick. Should I give them all the slides or just the ones that they need to work on? What do you think?
Just the ones they need.
So how can I do that really quick? Well, I want the example slide. Do you see how it's yellow? If you hit Control on your keyboard and keep holding Control down, you then can click on all the other slides that you want. Now you have selected these.
I have a lot of friends saying that there's one less. Then that's fine. Just make sure that when you push this out to your students that there are 13 things. We didn't create this, so, but.
That's why I always want to say, always check over everything. Do it yourself first to see if you like it, because there's going to be little tweaks that you're going to have to make, whether it's 1 counter less or the text box needs to be moved, because they made, let's see, 4 weeks times 5. And they are all like this. There's going to be little errors. I was doing the EdTech site and someone said, we can't click on this link. It doesn't have access. I'm like, I'm so sorry. And then I fixed it. So just be aware that teacher errors that happen, tech errors occur, and don't be afraid to change it. I mean, if you want to put teddy bears on the counters, that would work too. So I've selected these slides after I checked them. Thank you for that catch though, because that's what teams are for, because I would probably not have caught it, so thank you.
And there are, like she said, they have been creating so many resources and lessons for you. Again, please take them and make them your own. And also, if there is something that needs to be fixed, you can send us a kind little reminder, but you can also probably fix it yourself too.
Well, I've noticed that sometimes when you try to click on something, it won't let you click on it and you just have to move something a little bit. So yeah, take everything with just that teacher eye to make it better, because you guys will take it and build it into something so incredible and interesting that will fit you. So we really want you to be creative too and really have fun with these. So I've selected these slides and I want this to be my independent activity for Google Classroom. So I'm going to go up here to File. I'm going to click on File and then I have my down menu. And I'm going to make a copy. And Slides has updated itself. So now I can make a copy of just those selected slides. So those highlighted in yellow are now going to become a brand new slides presentation. So when I click on it, I can go ahead and rename it. So maybe I'm going to keep it day 3, lesson 1, but I'm going to say activity this time. So now I know that this is what students can do to go along with my whole class lesson. And then I'm just going to hit OK. and it's automatically going to make this brand new presentation for you that you can drop into a Google Classroom so students can do it. You can then go into their work and check it out, saying, Johnny, awesome job. Sweetie, I don't think you put all the counters down into the boxes. Let's go over it a little bit one-on-one in small group. So we may not have the math books. We don't know if we're going to get them, but there are still ways to have students engage and show their work to you with a little digital twist. So once again, if you see an activity you like within the whole lesson, feel free to correct it and to also change it up and then copy it so that your students can get more practice. And that's really what we want you to use these lessons for. They're the beginning, and you can take them and duplicate them and change out the numbers and make a whole nother lesson for maybe tomorrow, because they have a whole nother number that you could work on if they struggled with 13. And I really, really can't stress that enough. They say one lesson, but as you can see, we turn this into maybe 2 or 3 activities, and that could be spread out throughout your week. So even though it says day 1, activity 1, take it and make it into something that you can use. And any comments before we go on, or something I need to remodel really quick?
So Jennifer King asked about like small groups, pulling small groups during math in Zoom. She says, do you pull small groups? I was about ready to type back to her. That's a good question, Jennifer. We're still all trying to figure out how this is going to work.
What I did is I broke my math time up, kind of like you would do in your whole class. So I would call all my kids to a Zoom, or Google Me is what I was using. I would teach the whole lesson, but then I'd be using my CFUs. Were they following along? Were they able to write the problem? Or just my observations of my kids in the grid view. Certain students are going to pop out just like they do in your classroom that weren't following along. So what I do is I write down their names so I don't forget. And then I say, okay, our whole group math lesson is over for today. There's a Google Classroom assignment that you can work on, but can I have so-and-so, so-and-so, and so-and-so stay with me in the Zoom? And we're going to rework the problem. They're going to I'm going to share it with them and we can work on it together. And so I'm doing that small group with just the ones left over in the Zoom, and everyone else can go do their Google Classroom assignment. And that's really where you use the polls, you use the thumbs up, thumbs down, you use those that are interacting with you, you're using the chat, you're using your good teacher observation skills to build that small group list. And then you keep them and send the rest away. And
Kimberly,
Do you set a timer for when the rest of the kids need to come back?
What you can do is you could put a timer in the lesson that they could click on and listen to you. Or if you are using a program called Go Guardian, you can message all your students to return to the Zoom. So you're in the Zoom with your 5 kids, you can pull up a program called Go Guardian and you can say, hey, time's up, come back to the Zoom, I'll see you there. And if not, you can actually go into their actual computer screen through Go Guardian and shut down what they're doing to bring them back to the Zoom. And
yeah, Go Guardian, I hope it will work in their homes, because I know I used it in the classroom all the time. Kimberly asked, and this is a good maybe thing for Alicia to look into. She said, can you use a breakout? Can you use a breakout where you put all the students in a breakout room and then pull small groups into another breakout? So we'll have to look into that.
You can. The only issue with that is when I put you into a breakout room, you lost my screen. And so your students would have to be savvy enough, which they could be, to have 2 screens up. They would have to pull up their Google Classroom on a minimized screen and the Zoom, so they could do 2 things at once. And we do teach you how to minimize in the intro to tech learning, but it is a skill that you'd have to practice. So I would keep that in my back pocket that you could do that. But just think, if they're in that whole class Zoom, what are they doing? If it's pen and paper, great. But no, they're in that breakout room. They could be talking to each other while you're in small group. You cannot keep them muted. They can unmute themselves. I am looking into the feature that keeps everyone muted forever until a teacher undoes it. But even then, the kids can see each other and can be goofing off. So it's really just your teaching style and classroom management and the types of kids you have. But yes, you could do that, definitely. It's just that whole practice and see if it works. And if it does, share your knowledge with us, because this is going to be a lot of trial and error. And share us with the good and the bad, because that's how we learn. And I would love that feedback too.
One thing I was going to say, and we shared this yesterday, is every time that Alicia and I have met, and myself and other presenters, we have done it via Zoom so that we could practice and learn. So I suggested yesterday to a teacher who was really, she's hesitant and very nervous about teaching using this platform. I said, buddy up with another teacher friend from your same grade level or whatever it is, and you guys can do those lessons together. Sometimes that trial and error is going to be needed, and will really help you kind of fish out the things that are, you know, that you need to work on or need a little bit of help on. But trying to buddy up with somebody and to actually do this would be beneficial for.
And be both sides, be the student and the teacher, because I've been always on the teacher end navigating Zoom, and it wasn't until I was in Stephanie's SEL lesson this morning that I realized, man, I can't see her in the toolbox. How do I fix that? And that's when you start playing with features and you realize what's the best avenue to share with your students. So it's going to be a lot of practice with your team, your PLC, maybe just get on and chit chat and just practice those little changing the screens and how to minimize things. And
just getting comfortable with it. Yeah.
I used Google Meet during the end of the school year. And when this Zoom thing came on, I'm like, I don't know how to do it. And I had to practice. And literally I would pull it up on 3 different screens, figuring out what it was, because I didn't know, and it just took me experiencing it. I can show you, I can give you tutorials, but breathing it and living it and clicking on things yourself is your best way to learn. And that's a lot of what we're having to throw at you guys, and we're so sorry. It's going to be a lot of trial and error and learn as you go and try it and fail, and be kind to yourself when it doesn't work.
Sherry mentioned that she has created her virtual classroom in her at home by using an HDMI cord to connect her laptop to her TV. Which you can do that with different, like I said, even here you can screen any type of phone you have and probably a computer, different tablet or whatever, to this Zoom or to a TV. So try out some things if you are going to teach from home.
I totally was just straight up honest, and I totally Jimmy rigged my own Elmo by taping a web camera to a lamp, because I'm like, I need that. And so hopefully you'll be able to get to your Elmos, but we make do because we're teachers and we care for our students and we want success. So we're going to end really quick with a couple of things you can do to end your lesson. One is to have a quick review video. So this one's just simple counting down. You can also put in a mindful moment or a mindful movement, because depending on how long your students can sit, you might have to have a couple of these throughout your lessons to get up and move and stretch and then bring them back. And then we end with a question, which in this case is one we added as a team, me and Stephanie, because it fit our lesson. And we said, what are the different addition facts you can make with a sum of 10? I think before the question asked, how did you act like a mathematician? And Stephanie and I were like, well, that's a good question, but my students at this point of time don't know what a mathematician is, so that question wouldn't be good. So we really say change the questions, change the lessons and the numbers, duplicate things to fit you, because when you're comfortable with the lesson, it will be easier for you to teach. And what you can do with this one is we put in a little icon for Flipgrid that you could add a Flipgrid video, and then they can answer this question using all of those manipulatives that you had them get before. And then you could use it as your CFU at the end, where you can watch it during a later time to see whether or not they truly got what you were doing. And so that's the end of the lesson, with quite a few things thrown at you, and I know it's overwhelming. I can go back at the end and review anything, but our session is reaching the closing part, and I really want you to be introduced to our website. That lesson and every other math lesson for every grade level has been posted to what we call the EdTech Center. When you go here, there will be tons of information, and we don't want you to be overwhelmed. So we broke it into some big topics such as grade level lessons. Here's where we're going to find those math lessons and your ELA lessons too. If you're struggling with the tech, or you want to learn about Jamboard or anything that's related to Google Docs or slides, like I showed you how to make a copy, you can learn more about those apps under our guides and tutorials. We know your kids are going to be struggling with learning these tech skills too. So we've created tutorial videos that you can use with your students to help them learn these skills. And if you're a little unsure of even how to use Google Classroom, there's a guidebook to walk you through it too. But we're going to click right here on grade level lessons.
Let me pause you for
yes,
just a second. I've given you, I accidentally gave you the evaluation too early. Don't do it. But I did give you the virtual learning website. And that has been being worked on for months, since March 17th, or probably before. It's evolving every day. You have lessons here for you in ELA, math, SEL. In math, you already have a month's worth of lessons. Again, that floor, and then you make them your own. But you're going to need to dig into this website. This website is going to be your new best friend. And
I like how she said that there's 4 months of lessons, but you saw how you could take one lesson and spread it over a couple of days if that's what your students need. So let's click on grade 2, and you can say or see there's some first 3 days curriculum, SEL, math, and ELA. We're going to click on math. Your math is going to be broken down into that 4-week structure, but please do not feel that you have to start with week 1. If you want to see what's in week 4 and assign a lesson from week 4, go for it. These are just lessons for you to use as you see fit. Before we go to those lessons, remember we talked about those virtual tools that we don't want you to make yourself if you don't want to? Go ahead and click on this link, and you have all of these websites, and I know Stephanie has
amazing
more than any, but here you have the ability to bring up some of those math tools that you would normally have at your fingertips, and you can model right here, and you can do it, and you don't have to build it from scratch. And you can put this link right up here by copying and pasting it right into a lesson, so you can immediately click on it and go to it to model the math. And what's great about this is you can give this link to the students, and they could use this tool to help them solve problems. So really take a look at this math website. A lot of these have the same tools, but you might find one that's a little bit easier for you to navigate and will fit your teaching style. So that's under additional math tools, but we're going to go back to our 2nd grade homepage, and right back to math. And we're going to go to week 1. And here, this was just added. I literally got a text message from the curriculum team saying, hey, we added this because we thought the teachers might need it. And it is a week at a glance of how you could break up the content for a week's lesson. But down below, you actually have the lessons. Here you have the ability to click through the lessons to see what it's about. And there's numbers of the days. This is reviewing hundreds charts. And if you really like the lesson, you can go down to add presentation, and it's going to automatically force copy it into your Google Drive, which means it is yours then to create, change, alter, edit, and correct if need be, because we are human. I bet there will be some little snaggles here and there.
I like how these are all set up the same, like they're using the same template so that your students will become familiar with it. And when you add slides that are your own, they will be able to continue with that same template, that format, so it remains consistent.
And then I've kind of given you a little hint of how you could use it in Google Classroom. So here you would create an assignment, and then you could make a copy so students could use those activities that we showed you within that lesson. Now, to force a copy of this lesson would be all slides, which is perfectly fine. You could just say, hey kids, do slide 10 and 15 if you didn't want to pull out those certain slides. It really is just your choice. And then there's also that little extra, you could create and add a Flipgrid code to this assignment if you wanted. These are all suggestions. So if you haven't already, go ahead and click on the link and take a little virtual tour. I'll call you back in about 3 to 4 minutes. I know it's not enough time, but if you have any questions during that time, please put them in the chat and I'll try to help you navigate the site a little bit more.
And all you have to remember is everything that we've been giving you is go.bcsd.com. And for the distance learning, it's /DFP. You're going to hear that a lot, DFP.
Those are our 3 layers. Now, we are so taking your suggestions, your recommendations, your feedback. And one of the feedbacks we got from our previous math session, which was literally just yesterday, was they wanted some help with math tutorial lesson creation. Stephanie doesn't even know about this one because I literally added it during her SCL lesson. So if you click on here, you're going to find a few videos of how the curriculum team created these lessons. So hopefully they'll help you start making your own too. And that was just added by your feedback. And that's what we want. How can we still help you through this process? Because we know this is not the end. This is only the tip of the iceberg. So take a look, enjoy it, and anything you want to share, please share, because I've been in this little box with the tech team creating this site, and all of your feedback and brand new eyes teaches me how to make it better and make it easier for you to navigate. So please share feedback, even if it's like, this is confusing or this link is broken, which happened last time. They were clicking through it and I had to give access. So please don't be afraid. Any comments are welcome comments because they help us build a better site.
And in the next few minutes, we'll be giving out the evaluation and the sign out form, which is your ticket out.
There's not a phone number for the tech support because if you call the district, is that who you're talking about? What do you mean by tech support? Like how to work certain things? Because
there was a number earlier that, and so I had mentioned it to him, there is a number that was tech support during the virtual learning.
Yeah, there's a tech support from the district. If there's any questions about the site per se, then that would be emailed to one of us. So for example, I help build the 1st and 2nd grade site. So any snafus on that end, if you go all the way to the bottom, there's my email. Please email me. Any questions, any concerns, this link is broken, this link's going to the wrong thing, I will apologize beforehand that may happen, but quickly send me an email and I can fix it quickly for you.
Now, my question was basically,
Yes.
you know, once we get started teaching, you're going to be teaching as well, so I don't want to disturb you during the middle of the day. I understand, or maybe I misunderstood, but isn't there a number we can call the district when it comes to just troubleshooting any technology issues we have?
I will look into that and then I will post it on this website. Any errors or tech issues, please contact, because that's a big one. You're in the middle of your class at home and something happens, then there needs to be some kind of process to get help. So see, thank you for the feedback, Raphael. I did not think of that. So I'm gonna
You're
write
welcome.
that one down because
Yeah, I feel like we're skydiving and we need to know where the ripcord is.
True, true. All right, friends. So it is 11:51. There are 3 links in the chat box: evaluation, sign out form, and the presentation that we gave you today. Please make sure that you for sure do the first 2. That is how you will get paid, how you will get all of that good stuff.
And because this is math, not tech, if you want to wait after you sign out, you can ask me any tech questions related to math or how you may do something using tech, and I can probably answer those hopefully for you a little bit after, so we don't take up anyone else's time who's ready to go. We hope that you are feeling a little bit more comfortable using technology and the math lessons provided. We hope that even though this is new, uncharted territory, there are some guide stones to help you along the way. Is there any specific questions that you have about math? Or anything I can help you with?
Those links are active. I've checked them all prior to. So if you can't link directly, copy and paste it.
And if it's hard to copy and paste, just open up a new window with that plus sign, and every eval and sign out sheet is always going to be that go.bcsd.com/, and then you just have to remember those last 3 letters. So I would write them down on a piece of paper right now if you need to, because those will help you just type in to sign out if they're not linked.
And once you complete those, the evaluation and the sign out form, you are good to go. Enjoy.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for spending some time with us.
I saw my kid handle the last administrator. Yeah. For having
Okay, Stephanie, Alicia,
having 2/3 of the year.
this is Mercy.
Hi,
So
Mercy.
you guys did well. I like it.
Good, thanks. Sorry, we kind of were we've kind of found our groove, so.
Yeah.
It's just so
No, that's okay.
So much we have to give you teachers, and I feel so.
Well, poor Mercy was here to be our, facilitator, and we never let her do anything.
Oh no, she's the higher up. If I didn't know something, be like,
she was checking to make sure we were doing okay. She's gonna report back on us.
See, Mercy's gonna ask about the phone number for tech support for us, right?
Yeah, I should have gone to the parking lot.
I'll make sure it's in there, and then I'll also send out my feelers to my tech team of who that could be.
Yeah, that would be good.
Because that's going to happen. I didn't even think of that because I'm still in my little bubble. So I always say thank you for.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
Thank you.
All right. All right. I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay, so there's still officially 5 minutes left, but this is what we call the Q&A portion. Anything's on the table, and you can just unmute yourself of what you would like to ask, and I can hopefully model for you and help you feel a little bit more confident or teach you something new.
Do you think they're going to have more lessons made up for us or not?
The real hope is that you take the platform given to you and create yourself, but I didn't get to it in the session. But we are creating a page, hopefully, that is going to take teacher donations, which means teachers who create content and are willing to share it will send it to us, and we can put it up for you to look at. So you're a second grade teacher, and so I am one of those people who create my own virtual learning stuff, and I will be linking it. So I have math stuff right here, and I will link this folder, and you can see that I've started kind of building out not full lessons. So the curriculum team did an awesome job adding all of those little pieces. I really just focused on the student engagement digital activity. So for example, if I was thinking, I kind of went with the math book because I wasn't sure where to go, because I liked how it laid out teaching mathematical skills. So if you click on this one, which is addition properties, and you'll find an activity for students. You could model with it if you wished and take it and add stuff to it, but this is really what you would give students in a Google Classroom. So you have a little quick lesson was an add-in, and there's like a little visual representation, and then there's going to be where you can model, and it shows you what to do, and then there's practice for the students.
I like that.
And then there's actually like a little math page. I hate to say it, we don't have math.
That's in the lessons?
These are not, because I wasn't part of like the curriculum team to make the lessons. This is going to be on a page that says additional math resources. So you'll be able to find it, and it'll be linked on there. And
That's in that DPF thing,
yes,
right?
Yeah.
everything will be on
Okay.
DPF. I will link this. I said I'll hopefully have it up by Friday, because these ones I'm kind of got distracted on, but I'm working on these. And you'll find that all you'll have to do is make a copy and then upload it. And what I'm really hoping teachers will do is they will use a little recording thing where they don't even have to record their face. They'll just record their voice and the screen, showing the kids how to do it. So hopefully there won't be any like, I don't know how to do this, teacher. I'm like, well, watch the video of me telling you how to do it. And so far I've created, well, at least I think 14 activities. I won't say 14. because
These are in the DPF.
They will be, yes.
Oh, they will be. Okay.
They're going to be on, let me see. I have to go to the site where it's not posted, because you won't be able to see the page because it's not complete. I literally started this page yesterday after hearing feedback from the other team that we should do this. So we're really taking your feedback and working on it. So I think I put it under second grade, and it's just going to be this page that said shared digital resources. And you'll find probably math second grade by so-and-so, or fifth grade by so-and-so. So you know who created it and things like that. But we're hopefully going to do
digital activities. That would be what it's under.
Yeah, and I will probably try to link it to the main page, but I will definitely link it under second grade homepage for us. But those will hopefully be by Friday, tomorrow. So you can look through them and then see if you can use them and take them. I do have math ones, and I'm building out the ELA ones. I didn't get as far, but the idea is I'm creating them for my own students. And if they're here, I would more than love to share them with you if you use with your second graders.
Yeah,
But I'm second grade, so that's kind of where most of the shared resources will start. But hopefully the other teams will see and start putting in their kinds of ideas.
Okay.
Any other questions or help, or
Just feel overwhelmed. I don't know what I'm doing yet.
just, did you take the intro to virtual learning?
I took the, no, not yet. Wait a minute. Yes, I did. Yes, I
Because following those steps is
Okay.
going to get you just those last half of learning the Zoom, practicing, seeing if you can use poll, change the view, but really downloading the content and putting it into a Google Classroom. Start simple and you'll get there. You'll
Okay.
get there. I know you will. And if you have any questions, just email me.
What are the students gonna see on their end on Zoom?
They're going to see exactly what you see.
Okay.
Because you're the student right now, I'm the teacher. So what you really need to do now is flip the position. You need to see what a teacher sees, because you have so much more options. So
Okay.
everything you can do right now, your students will be able to do too. So the raising your hand, the answering a poll, being put into a breakout room. Those are all things that your students will be able to see just in your PLC. Someone form a Zoom, be the teacher, and see all the little extra features that are there.
And watch the video on Zoom so I can learn how to put everything in Zoom, right?
Putting everything in Zoom, you mean the poll?
No, not the poll, like these different slides and stuff. How do I put that in there?
Oh, that's easy. As a
Okay.
teacher, there's one little option that says shared screen. So you can pull up anything on your computer. So you have to put nothing in a Zoom. You just have to create the
We will support
link.
you through the PLC. Alicia, she's in my PLC and she'll get the support that she needs and probably some time to practice too. So
Yeah.
don't worry about it. We'll
Okay.
get you back, girl.
I
Okay?
like ace the shared
Don't
screen.
worry about it. We're going to talk about all of that tomorrow.
Tomorrow at
Share
1.
the screen, and that's your biggest. If any other feature, learn how to share your screen confidently, and you'll be good to go to start.
Okay.
And then you'll get more confident with the other things.
Thank you, Alicia.
No problem.
Thank you, Mimi.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye.
Glad you got a
Miss
good partner,
Alicia,
Mimi.
I got a
Yes.
question.
I just had a little comment.
Okay, really quick, yes.
In regards to software needed in your laptop, you can always request whatever you use in your smartboard or on your computer in the classroom, you can always request to download into your laptop or computer, whatever you're going to be using from the district. I have a district laptop, and I asked for the license to download the software for smartboard, for Elmo, so all of that is in my computer. If we're allowed to bring the Elmos home, I think that was one of the questions that was asked to Mark.
That has to be a must.
If we're allowed to bring them home, that would be very helpful. Now, I would really appreciate if you make some videos, because I switch from my laptop to my Chromebook in the middle of your presentation to see how my kids were going to be interacting with this presentation. And whoever made those comments before is extremely different. I noticed I had more things I could do in my laptop than I can do now in my Chromebook. There's different, how can I say, different features that I don't see in my Chromebook when I compare it to my laptop. Even in the way that you were telling us about displaying screen, viewing options, all of that is very different. So please keep that in mind. Maybe teach from the laptop the next session to see what you can do with it. Anyway.
I do know the district Chromebooks don't hold a lot of power to multitask. So a lot of the tech team doesn't use the Chromebooks, but we do have Chromebooks. So we're now going to have to test them out. So thank you for that suggestion, and really important call out that students use Chromebooks or
That's a good point, Mimi.
I kept closing the polls. They kept popping up over and over, the polls. And I was like, oh, holy Toledo, is this going to be happening to our kiddos? You know, all those little things. It was a very good learning experience to use the Chromebook.
I like to say these sessions are a wake-up call to us and to everyone about what it's like. But I do have a Chromebook, so you know what? I might be doing some Zooming with myself to see what it's like and recording videos now. So I will try to create those quickly, and we may have to create a page that says Chromebook tips because students are on Chromebooks. So see, feedback, we're always listening.
Thanks for asking that question, Mimi.
Yeah, thank you, Mimi.
Welcome, Rafael.
Yeah, the thing I've run into a lot as well is, you know, I have a very old computer at home, so I don't even hardly ever touch it. But whenever I'm doing anything school related or work related, I always bring a Chromebook home. And just like Mimi said, not having access to some of the same exact functions makes it difficult, because then even during the training, I can understand what you guys are saying, but if I can't replicate it on my screen, then that automatically puts us at a disadvantage. Now, one thing you guys mentioned earlier was that there's different versions of Zoom. Could that be part of the issue? Like maybe you just don't have the right version or the licensed one from the district?
I'm not sure because Mimi, did you have it on your first computer?
What do you mean? Ask me
Did
the
you
question
have
again.
the features on the first computer before you had to switch?
Yes, I had several features, and I accessed it with the same account, with the same Zoom account, because it's the only
So then-
account I have. And so, yes, it was very different. It seems
So then it's
like
probably
my
Chromebook not
laptop
using
one had more features.
licensing. Okay, so no, that's definitely a call out I would give to my team to start pulling that together, because if we're teaching our students on multiple devices, we need to offer multiple tutorials to help us learn what they see. So thank you for that.
Alicia, I got another quick question.
Yes.
You know, in the very last quarter of this previous school year, Chromebooks were distributed to third grade and up. Are second graders going to get Chromebooks? The reason I ask is because before doing the distance learning, we encountered some difficulties in that, you know, some students maybe would have a tablet or they're using their parents' cell phone. Some had a Chromebook or a computer. And, you know, with all those different devices, obviously, things don't always work the same, and you have issues with connectivity and an untold number of potential issues that make it difficult to communicate with everybody.
The district has purchased 30,000 additional Chromebooks. So every student
Oh, wow.
will have one.
Yeah, they heard our
Okay.
cry that it wasn't equal. So that's why every student is now going to be accountable for logging in, because they're going to have either one-to-one Chromebooks, and if they don't have internet, they'll have their own hotspot. So there's really no reason for the child not to log on unless the parents have taken them somewhere else and have removed them from their environment where they can log on. And then that's a teacher, takes it from the teacher and takes it to FACE, who then have to contact parents like, this is school hours, you can't go shopping in the middle of the day. And that's going to be the school site taking it from you, saying, hey, this child didn't log in 5 times. I've called mom, nothing, take it away. And so luckily the school will be able to offer more support in that area than they did before.
Okay. Now I'm curious, have you ladies heard anything as far as district talk about when they foresee coming back to quote unquote normal teaching, like before this whole pandemic thing happened?
Well, before the numbers started getting worse, the idea was this first trimester was going to be fully digital, which would be to, like, they wanted it to be mid-November, and then from November to so on we'd be that 50-50 model, and then hopefully we'd have them all back. But with the way our numbers have skyrocketed, everything's probably now been slowed down. But the whole thing was it was going to be 100% digital, then 50-50, and then people back. But I think still their goal is those that would be allowed back into a physical classroom would be the ones that are most needy. And so those numbers might be very low with the way things are going in Kern County. So everything's just up in the air with everything. And I wish I could have the set schedule, but everything we planned got thrown out the window after July 4th when the numbers started going up again.
Do you know as well if they're going to give us the option to maybe report to our school and actually do this teaching out of our classroom where we have all our resources with us?
That is in discussion, and that's what a lot of people want. So we're hoping for that, because that's what I would do. And so it's Stephanie.
Yeah, that's the plan. The district has given us that option unless something changes. So
it all comes down to beta
numbers
and the negotiation. And then when that goes through, we can all be told some things officially, but everything is all in discussion, which has slowed the process, but hopefully it'll be
the COVID-19 is, man, it already wreaked havoc through our home, and everyone's already had it, except I think my stepson, he's going to be tested.
Wow.
But
I'm glad
he
you're okay.
seems to be asymptomatic. But yeah, no, my wife was sick for 3 weeks. I was sick for 2 weeks. was sick for maybe 3 or 4 days. Luckily, she's young and resilient, but yeah, it was not fun. It kicked our butt. I think even
my
my
goodness.
cat had it.
Don't be afraid to text me or call me or email me. If you
Okay,
need my number, I can probably give it to you because I know you. Bye,
Okay.
Christine.
bye.
Thank you, friends.
Bye, ladies. Thank you.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
Raphael. Good question about the tech support. I will be on
Yeah,
that app Chromebook
I got
tutorials.
lots
Thank you
of
for giving me your
questions
brains
that
and
they'll
sharing
keep
them
coming.
with me.
All right. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you for staying. All right.
Really.
We good, Teresa? Or do you have one last question now that we're all by ourselves?
She might not be here.
Okay.
Not logged on. All right, I think I'm gonna go get a Sonic drink before I have to teach at 3. So
Like, this is my only one today, and then Tuesday is gonna be my.
your big day again, yeah. And then we just have 2 again next week for math. But
Yeah, one at 10 and one at
3 or something.
or 1 and 3 or
1.
something. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. All right.
I tried to hold back the tech and meeting.